Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Wan Nur Aisyah and I will explain a little bit about the company's background. So, Waterworks Berhad is a well-established Malaysian company that produces water filters. The most recent inventory audit at the company's warehouse had been held by James, the Chief Audit Executive of Waterworks Berhad. The inventory audit highlighted a discrepancy in the inventory of commercial water filters. There is evidence that points to foul play by John, the warehouse manager. So the human resource manager has seen some behavioral changes in John, which he buy a new exclusive car and also a ringgit house. So without further ado, let's start with the question 1.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Rashida Zamri and I will be discussing on the answers for question 1 in the case of Waterworks Berhad. So for option 1, it is allowable to let the police to take over the case of Waterworks Berhad, including theft, because we know that the police investigators are well versed and adequately enough, and also police have their own expertise and special abilities to run the investigations. So it is basically an approvable concept, but having said that, there will be much tendency to tarnish the Waterworks Berhad, because the people's expectations will be much lower, even though Waterworks Berhad had been operated for the industries for above 15 years. In options 2, it is the golden opportunity for James and their audit team members for the discovery of theft in Waterworks Berhad and also liaison with the human resource manager, Zain. This is because the internal auditor will be much in-depth knowledge of productions of Waterworks Berhad, or their operations, policies and procedures, the rules and regulations, the nature of employees, as well as the documentation itself. So, despite the valuable chances obtained, James and his team members had insufficient knowledge and expertise to gather and preserve the evidence due to the fact that the case of theft is seldomly happen in the organizations, so the assignment will be much complex and involve a disparity of evidence with diverse characteristics and degree of reliability. So they will be much complicated for them because they have lack of knowledge and sufficient evidence to prove the theft issues. So therefore, it will be slightly difficult to conduct the investigation because some of these employees might be not serious in involving the voluntarily of disclosure in theft itself. For option 3, recommending a fraud investigators to initiate the theft discovery with liaison with the fraud investigators is a good alternative, since James and his audit team members have low expertise in handling such issues. So appointing a fraud investigator will eventually help the team and uplifting their burden because of their ability to resolving issues and reconstructing the whole process and capture the overview of the incompleteness of the informations and also the evidence itself. So even so, such engagement need to be appointed at the best interest of the company and need to select the best qualities by doing surveys and evaluation based on the credit rating of the companies or the agencies itself that provide the fraud investigators. So the comments on these options is, it is not appropriate to do so anything with regards to the theft issues. So this is merely not agree when no action is required by the senior management. So the other employees will have the perceptions that it is fine to do the theft issues in the organizations, and this will eventually makes them as a norm, or this behavior will gradually becomes a habit in the organizations. Even if the issues is disclosed in the company, or even the issues are not being overviewed by the other peoples, so it is meaningless to keep things forever, because after all, the shareholders and the potential investors will gradually find out the truth. Therefore, James and his audit team members should seek justice and further appeal to the senior managements and other top managements in the company to give cooperations to resolve the theft issues, because we cannot stand alone on the issues itself. So James and his audit team members need to find other ways in order to resolve the issues of theft, in order to identify the theft issues in Waterworks Berhad. So the first one is the CAE need to report to the Board of Directors. So the Board of Directors have the responsibility for the effective corporate fraud governance. Therefore, the Chief Audit Executive, which is James, should report to the top management and discuss the matters relating to the theft issues and other possible uncertainties to the organizations. So the benefit of this proposal is the Board of Directors have power, and because he or they will be assessed the authority to evaluate the management responsibility in addressing the issues and question on the potential leaders in the departments. So the Board of Directors also have power to terminate the employment if it is proven to have significant issues. So the cause for these matters is that it might have some potential self-interest among Board of Directors as well as the warehouse managers. This is because it might have some sort of bribery or have personal interest in the organizations, who knows. So yeah, the next one is to consult with the internal legal counsel. So James, as the Chief Audit Executive, have the potential ability to evaluate the performance of the organizations. So therefore, James as well as his audit team members should use its own expertise to identify a potential issues arising from theft. So the benefits in these matters is it acts as a tool to detect fraud as well as able to resolve the case internally by hiring an internal legal counsel. The cost of these matters is that the hiring of the internal legal counsel is much expensive, and also James and his audit team members have potential for reverse accusations or falsifications of errors by Waterworks Berhad if James and his team members are unable to resolve the issues and unable to provide a reasonable assurance or insufficient evidence to prove that John is a perpetrator in these situations. Now I will pass to the next presenter to discuss the answers for question 2.
Hi, my name is Noshani Midayana and I will explain on question 2, which is the audit trail transactions, records and documents that James should work through to verify the inventory values and numbers. So first thing first, the audit trail is a record of detailed transactions relating to any item of accounting such as trade details or other financial data that can be traced to their source. The audit trail to verify the inventory values and numbers includes customer order, sales order, shipping document, invoices and payments. So, in order for James to ensure that the financial records match with the company's inventory records and those records are aligned with the physical inventory count, he should work through this audit trail. Firstly, the customer order, which is a form that provides details of the order made by customers, including details of the amount and customers' requirements of product. James, the CAE of Waterworks Berhad, should do checking on the number of customers' order with the quantity in the inventory to ensure the products orders, units and receipts numbers are the same and verified. Secondly, sales order, which is a document generated by the seller upon receiving the customer order that specifies the details about the products to be purchased. James should ensure that sales order are tally with the customer order as recorded in the system to avoid any dummy order. Third is the shipping document that relates to the sending of a shipment of products to the customer to ensure that the customer's order is safely delivered. James can ensure the orders are received by the customers by checking on the shipping document with necessary proof of delivery, such as signature and identification number of the customer upon receiving the order. Next is the invoice, which is a timestamped commercial document given to the buyer by the seller to collect payment that includes the cost and quantity of products purchased. James should verify that the invoices generated are matched with the purchase order to avoid any fake invoices made which result in inventory fraud. And last but not least, payment receipt, which is the document given to the customer as a proof of the transfer of money in exchange for goods and services that have been agreed by the parties involved. James should check on the payment receipts and transactions are tally, as well as the customer list, and to ensure that the transaction exists, not only being created for non-existent customer. I think that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anis and I'm going to continue with the third question, which is about the internal mechanism that can be applied by the Waterworks Berhad to address the misappropriation of inventory by employees. So we have provided three internal mechanisms, which is the first one is the segregation of duties, the second one is tighten the security system of the warehouse, and the last one is the rotation of employees' jobs assignments. Okay, the first internal control mechanism that can be applied is the segregation of duties. The segregation of duties is the fundamental element of internal controls. Under this concept of segregation of duties, the duties that are business critical can be categorized into four types of functions, which are authorizations, custody, record keeping, and reconciliation. Each particular work function should be assigned to different employees. This is to prevent one person from having access to inventory as well as responsibility for maintaining the accountability for those inventory. When a company segregates the duties of the employees, it can minimize the fraud risk and limit opportunity to misappropriate inventory or conceal intentional misstatement or in a company financial statement. Next is Waterworks could tighten the security system in the warehouse. This is to make sure all employees are aware that their works are being monitored, and this will deter the fraudsters due to a higher chance of being caught. This greater awareness will help the company to safeguard their inventory. Through this effort, technology can be applied to help employees to observe their valuable assets. For example, install fully equipped security systems such as CCTV in the warehouse where inventory, assets, and other valuables are kept. Furthermore, Waterworks also can remind the employees that staff and visitors parking should be located separately from the warehouse operations, and they have to make sure there's no private vehicles should be near the warehouse to avoid loading inventory stocks into their vehicles secretly. Besides, Waterworks also should rotate employees in job assignments in the warehouse. Some companies rotate the task assignments to deter employees from engaging in long-term schemes to steal from the warehouse. Employees realize that if they steal inventory from the warehouse, the other personnel or employees assigned to their positions could find out about the theft. The company may also create a policy that each one employee should take a mandatory leave. This is because the policy can discourage theft, because the scam may collapse or be detected if the employee is unable to execute the theft personally and does not attend to the schemes on a daily basis. That's all, and I will pass to the next presenter.
Okay, so let's continue with question 4. Question 4 is, what human resource issue are raised in this case? What possible courses of action are available to John should he be named as a suspect in this case? So Zain, the human resource manager, stated that he did observe that in the past 4 years, John has been upgrading to a new imported luxury car and managed to buy a house valued at 1 million. It is very suspicious for John to be able to spend such money when his salary is not that big. So the human resource manager should be responsible for overseeing the unusual activities of the employees, as he should report the suspicion of fraud to the audit department for further action to prevent any unwanted incident. Audit department then can evaluate the potential for the occurrence of fraud for this situation and how the management will manage the risk. Okay, next, the possible causes of action that make John to be named as a suspect is when there are few red flags shown by him. The red flags that can be seen from John is that he has a too good to be true work performance during his 11 years of working with Waterworks. He works as a warehouse clerk without any trouble, and then he gets promoted as a warehouse manager 4 years ago. He is a model employee for other workers, and he also gets a service award for his faithfulness toward the company. Other than that, he does not take any vacation or sick leave during his service. The company should enforce a mandatory leave on John to curb fraudulent activities. John also has the capability and opportunity to do the fraud since he is the warehouse manager. The types of fraud that we can see in this case are asset misappropriation and stock theft. John sold the water filters to the fictitious customer that then was written off as a bad debt. He then resells the water filter at a discounted price to the black market. So the bad debt was a loss for the company, but he will gain a profit by this activity.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Amin Nazran, and for today's presentation, I will present the summary of this case. The main issue of this case is that there is a misappropriation of the asset, which include the inventory of the company by the employee, because there is a discrepancy in the inventory of the commercial water fillers. The main suspect is Mr. John, since his standards of living doesn't suit with his salary, and also since he is the warehouse manager, he will have the opportunity and the capability to perform the fraud. We also summarize some of the internal control that can be used to address this misappropriation of the inventory by the employee. So this method doesn't happen again in the future. So the first one is the segregation of duties, tightening the security system in the warehouse, and the last one is rotating employees in the job assignment. So after the suspect, Mr. John, the one who does the fraud, there is a 4 option that can be taken by Waterworks for this case. So the first action that can be taken by this company is to report this matter to the police. The second one is to initiate a domestic inquiry and internal audit to gather the evidence. The third one is to initiating a domestic inquiry and engaging the services of the fraud investigator. So the last one is don't do anything, which is we really not recommended for this case. So all of these options, they will have the advantages and disadvantages that need to be considered by the company. I think that's all from our group, and I would like to say thank you for those who lended their ears during our presentation. Thank you.